Welcome. This is Project Freedom United. My name is Bob Shurts. I'm here with our special guest, Hal Davis, today. And our topic's going to be about suicide prevention, post-traumatic stress disorder. And Hal's got some amazing stories to tell, how he struggled through it, and is an amazing character right here next to me. Hal, you joined the service when?
1967.
Wow, the Vietnam War was starting to really pick up around then. Can you tell us a little about your personal story?
The Vietnam side?
Yeah.
Or leading up to, okay.
What led up to you going into the service?
Oh, okay. Well, my father was World War II, Korea and Vietnam. I got a report that my dad might be missing, so I decided I would join the Army. So I went down to the recruiter and took tests for the what I was qualified for, and I got my results back. And I went home to tell my mom I was going. She told me no. I said I already have. I've dropped out and signed up. And she said, your dad's not going to be happy. I said, well, we'll see. So I did. I went ahead and went in. I had a guarantee for flight school and OCS. So basic training, I was assigned as the platoon guide, which was basically platoon leader for the training cycle. And I kept that position for the entire cycle, which was unheard of. But it was a learning experience for me. And the platoon sergeant liked being number one all the way around for everything. So we were.
Great.
But I got through basic AIT, Advanced Individual Training, and went to OCS from there to Fort Benning, and went through that whole cycle, got commissioned, went to flight school for a little while.
And what did you train on in flight schools?
Well, initially we trained on the Hughes Tinker Toy, which was a Hughes 300, which was a good training platform. But I ended up flying the Loach, which is a low observation helicopter, and a little bit of time in the Cobra. And but I got grounded because I had cartilage float up under my kneecap. And flight surgeon said no more. So I wrote my wife at the time, told her she'd be happy I was losing my flight status. I didn't tell her I was going into the infantry platoon leader's spot, but that's where I went. And I was given a platoon. My platoon consisted of 19 men, including me. But we were given a mission like we were full TOE. So it was interesting. I had a great group of guys. My main mission, when I sat them down and introduced myself, I told them that my main goal was to make sure that every one of them were making it home. And I got called in by the platoon sergeant and a couple of my guys one day, and they said, LT, we want you to stop walking point. I said, can't lead from the back. I said, I'm where I need to be. We're fine. So I got that resolved. But I did. I was up there. I told them that I would never ask them to do anything I didn't do or wouldn't do. So
that's a great philosophy.
Well, and I knew the background of the lieutenant that had the platoon before, and there were some issues, and I wanted to make sure that those issues never came up again. So, and every one of my guys came home. Every one of them.
That's quite an accomplishment.
Well, I had one that was touch and go for a good while. He was named my daughter's godfather. He was awesome. He was a E5 sergeant, squad leader. We were chasing a group one day and chased them back into the base camp. And he got shot in the lower leg, broke both bones. Shot in the upper leg, broke that bone. And when I ran out to drag him off the trail, shot him in the chest and collapsed the lung.
Wow.
So, but I got him back to the doc, and Doc took care of him. He came home and became a principal at Peoria High School and has retired from that, and obviously retired military.
You told me you participated in the incursion into Cambodia.
Yeah, my second tour. I was asked to come back by my assistant division commander from the first tour, so I did. And he assigned me to a special observation group with David Patton, who was a full colonel. And we put the 5th ARVN Division in a brigade of the 5th ARVN Division into Cambodia, in Snool, Cambodia. And that was President Thu's division when he was in the military. And we had some issues because they didn't want to listen to me, and I couldn't push them really hard because I had to deal with President Thu, and I had a brigadier general over my colonel who I was working for, and he was under a lot of pressure to keep the thing going with the 5th ARVN Division. So
The diplomacy.
yes, yeah, playing politics in war.
Yeah.
But we put them in, and it was not a pleasant insertion into Cambodia, but it worked. I think we lost 8 helicopters.
Wow.
Yeah. They picked the biggest field south of Snool that they could find to put all the helicopters into. And I said, don't use it. I said, that's the one they're going to be looking for. They're going to be ready for. And sure enough, it happened that way. They got up there and sat around, and instead of going out and looking for the enemy and engaging them, they waited until it was time to come home. When they got the word to come home, the perfect ambush happened on Highway 13. 3 tanks were killed side by side, and the road was blocked. And the enemy had 51 cows on the sides, and it was a massacre.
Wow.
A massacre. Luckily, no Americans involved, other than me overhead.
That's amazing. It's a frightening story.
It was, and little of that was published, but that's the way it happened.
So how did you deal with that when you got home?
Well, when I came home, I had a cousin who had just graduated from medical school, and he had majored in psychiatry. PTSD at the time had not been defined. And so I had put my paperwork into the VA to get into the benefits program. And my benefit was I had nothing coming, go away. And that was their attitude, because we weren't in a war. We were in a police action.
Right.
Thanks to Congress. But anyhow, my cousin sat me down and said, okay, I kind of know what you went through. I kind of know what you're going through now mentally. He said, do me a favor, don't ever stop talking about it. And so I opened up to anybody that wanted to listen and some that didn't want to listen. And I talked about what we had done, what I saw, most of it, not all of it. I tried to deal with it that way, and obviously my medication was alcohol. And I was a serious alcoholic. I did it for 48 years. And they were not productive years for the most part. You know, a lot of stops by the cops. Suicide attempt in 2003. All from alcohol and PTSD and survivor guilt, all lumped into one. I stepped out in front of a truck. It was doing 50 miles an hour. Small pickup, but crushed my pelvis, collapsed both lungs. Didn't stop the alcohol, though. As soon as I got out of my rehab and nursing home, went right back to the alcohol. And the alcohol continued and continued. Luckily, I can say, sober for 19 years now.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It wasn't my doings. It was a man upstairs. My routine had gotten to be 2 bottles of red wine a night. Minimum of 2 bottles. And one night I reached over and I grabbed the first bottle of red wine, and when I popped the cork, I heard, "Enough is enough." And I knew it was time to quit. And I did. Cold turkey.
That's an amazing example of very strong will on your part.
Well, and the crazy thing was, I never thought about stopping. It was my medicine, because at that time I still wasn't in the VA program. It took that suicide attempt and trying to get SSID from Social Security.
Correct.
Because I was 100% with them at that point in time. I lost my career in the civilian world because I was a pilot flying jets, and the flight surgeon said that I showed concussion factors on my brain in the CAT scan. So I did give up my medical, and so that was a fight. But I was denied 4 times by the Social Security Administration. I finally went to an attorney that was a friend of mine, and he said, "Yes, I'll take the appeal this time for you." And he did. And we got Social Security disability approved by the courts. And he came in one day to the gym and he said, "Hal, I see all that stuff on the back of your car that says that you were in combat." He said, "Why aren't you in the VA program?" And I told him. He said, "Oh, no. He said, "I want you to go to the VSO and put in your paperwork today. And when it comes back denied, bring it to me, and we will take care of it." And I did. And it was denied, and he took care of it. He sent me to a psychiatrist to talk about PTSD, and I did that. I walked in the psychiatrist's office and sat down with him. He says, "Tell me what was the worst day in your life." And I said, "The worst day?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "June the 29th, 1969. He said, "What was the feeling that day?" I said, "Sir, I had 19 men, and I was up against a rocket battalion that rocketed in Long Bend every night, plus their security guards." And I said, first 3 minutes of combat, 9 of us were hit. And I knew that we were all dead. Luckily, none of us were. But it was close. If I hadn't gotten every bomber in the air that day and got them to drop the bombs where I needed them, we would have been dead. My battalion commander was overhead that day dropping smoke for me. And he had become like a father to me. And I lost him in a helicopter crash because of stupidity on the part of the flight crew. And that was part of the suicide attempt in 2003. Because all that was brought back to me by one of the guys that was drinking with me that night.
Since you've experienced so much and survived it, and seem to be doing so well these days, is there any advice you could give to other veterans out there maybe struggling through what they went through, what you went through?
Yes. Get into the VA program. Talk about what you went through. Talk about your experiences. Get into a PTSD group and work the system. Don't ever stop talking about it. It will eat you alive if you let it. No matter basically what you did, if you were boots on the ground, you probably have some PTSD, and you need to get it taken care of. It never goes away. It never goes away. No matter how much alcohol you drink, no matter how much drugs you take, it's still there. So that's not the answer.
Is there anything else you'd like to add in regard to your experience, especially during the war? What was the most traumatic time you felt?
Really, the day that my battalion commander died in that helicopter crash, my assistant division commander, who I'd gone back to work with on the second tour, was my assistant division commander with the 1st Infantry Division when Carl Lang died. And he forbid any of my upper command to tell me that Carl was dead. He knew what he meant to me. And when I was told it happened, I absolutely broke down and cried off and on for 3 months, and I still do. It's so impactful when you lose someone close, and I don't want to get over it. I really don't.
The pain actually never
No.
seemed to go away.
Absolutely not. And if anybody out there's got it, you need to get help. You need to admit it. I'm in a recovery program now. My alcoholism stopped instantaneously, cold turkey, done. But all this other stuff is still out there and still inside my head, and it does not go away. So get the help that's out there, please. 22 suicides a day for veterans is way too many. I've been there. It ain't worth it. The help is out there now.
And one thing that a lot of people don't realize, all the combat pressures that you felt and I felt, we had a good number of Americans involved in those conflicts. And now there's such a small percentage of Americans serving. All that is multiplied upon those that are there, and they're going to be in those tough situations, and they're going to be coming back with those feelings and emotions of their experiences, and a lot of times they don't know how to deal with it.
Exactly. And a lot of the kids that are going in today are going in with fathers who have been in Vietnam and who had no idea what they were doing when they were losing their temper and smacking the kids around and causing more trauma to them. And you need to get help for that too. I mean,
it just doesn't impact on the veteran. it impacts on their family, it
Ab-
impacts on their relatives, it impacts
Absolutely.
on their living and their future. And that's why they need to seek
Yes.
help and friends and family and what other services are out there. Please reach out and take advantage of the things that are there to move you forward.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, thank you, Hal Davis. Amazing story.
Thank you, Robert.
It's an honor to be here talking to you and sharing your knowledge and advice to all the veterans out there. And if you know someone out there who is suffering or needs some help, please have them get some support from their families, from the VA, from other veterans, because that's what we're here for, to help each other. We're all brothers in this effort. And thank you for watching this video. We're here to help the vets and recognize the courage and bravery that they have always given us.